It's like the most basic psychological manipulation that everyone seems to constantly fall for.
I think the positive, I haven't investigated Hustlers University, but the positive I see in general is young people.
And by the way, the things that are going to speak to young men, even though they sound super goofy, I
think it's just a weird, vapid thing when like the reason you do all of it is for this thing you can get out at the end of the day. When we all know, and you've just heard a million interviews, like nobody ever is.
Ruslan.
Let's check out this Coffezilla clip. So this is him, Lex, talking about Andrew Tate, and the conversation goes into a really interesting place.
Who feel cheated by the system. You just collectivize that system and you make it the bad guy, and you go, look, those guys who have been cheating you, they're the bad guys. They want me shut up. They want this guy shut up. You're going to listen to him. So it's like the most basic psychological manipulation that everyone seems to constantly fall for. It's really trivial and stupid, but.
Can you steelman the case for Hustlers University, where it's actually giving young people confidence, teaching them valuable lessons about like actually incentivizing them to do something like Fulfillment by Amazon, the basic thing, to try it,
sure,
to learn about it, to fail, or maybe see like to try, to give a catalyst and incentive to try these things.
As much as it pains me, I will try to give a...
So if you guys don't know, in a debate, when you are asked to give a steel man, okay, so you guys know what a straw man is? A straw man is when it's from the, the farming aspect, I guess, of taking a cutout or clothes of a person that a man would wear and stuffing it full of straw and then beating up the straw man. But you're not really beating anything up. Taking a scarecrow, stuffing him full of clothes, stuffing him full of straw, and then beating him up, right? A scarecrow, stuffing the scarecrow full of straw, beating him up. You're not really beating up a real man. And so in a debate or in a conversation, when somebody says you are straw manning, what that means is you're arguing against a position I don't even hold, which oddly enough happened to me this last week, but we'll get into that later. So you're straw manning. Now, a steel man is the opposite of that. A steel man is, I'm not going to argue against a position you don't hold, right? Because then when we're not even debating this, we're debating this. You're attributing a position I don't even know. A steel man is opposite. A steel man is, I want you to then argue in good faith, the position to the best of your ability. So it's a very interesting debate tactic, because what it shows is if you can't steel man the person you're disagreeing with, the person you're debating, you aren't really ready to debate because you can't extend a good faith argument to what that position is. So when Lex asks Coffezilla, hey, steelman Hustlers University, it's actually brilliant. But where they go next, I think, is also very, very telling. Check this out.
A succinct, maybe steelman of it, as best as I can, thinking that it's such a grift. But I think what you would say is that some people, in order to make a change in their life, need someone who they can look up to. And men don't have a lot of like strong role models, big male presences in their life who can serve as a proper example. So the most charitable interpretation would be Andrew Tate would encourage you to go reach for the stars, I guess.
That's actually a pretty good steel man, right? Some men don't have a lot of role models, for lack of a better term. And so when there is someone that is aspirational, that is telling you to quote unquote reach for the stars, it adds a degree of inspiration. Okay, not a bad steel man on Coffezilla's part.
I have a deep issue with the like lust and greed that centers all these things. It's like this glorification of wealth equals status, wealth equals good person, wealth and Bugatti equals you are meaningful, you matter. And like the dark underlying thing is that none of that matters. Like it matters that you make a decent living, but past just like that, I think the like lust for more stuff and the idolization of these people that is just like opulence is a net bad. So that's like, my steel man has to stop there because...
Lust of the eyes, lust of the flesh, pride of life. Any product is much easier to sell when it's packaged or loosely affiliated with those three things. Within Andrew Tate specifically, it's been kind of a combination of those things, which is kind of brilliant, right? Lust of the eyes, lust of the flesh, pride of life. Women, status, pleasure, right? Women, status, pleasure, right? And so it's an interesting... It's interesting that he uses the word lust here. But let's keep
I really disagree with like the values that are pushed by people like that.
Yeah, no, I agree. That's the thing that should be criticized. I shouldn't say it doesn't matter. I think it's just like an amazing meal at a great restaurant. It matters. It's money and Bugattis for many people make life beautiful. Like those are all components, but I think money isn't you can also enjoy a beautiful life on a hike in nature. You can, there's a lot of ways to enjoy life. And one of the deepest that's been tested through time is the intimacy, close connection, friendship with other people or with a loved one. They don't talk about like love.
Yeah,
like what it means to be deeply connected with another person. It's just like get women, get money, all those kinds of things. But that I think I don't want to dismiss that because there's like value in that. There's fun in that. I think the positive, I haven't investigated Hustlers University, but the positive I see in general is young people don't get much respect from society. Now it's easy to call it the Matrix and so on, but there's a kind of dismissal of them as human beings, as capable of contributing, of doing anything special. And then you have young people who are sitting there broke with big dreams. They need the mentors. They need somebody to inspire them. So like, I would criticize the flawed nature of the message,
Sure.
But also it's just like you have to realize like there needs to be institutions or people or influencers that help like inspire, right?
It needs to have influencers that help inspire. There's a void that's being filled by influencers to help inspire. Who did that historically? We're going to get there.
The problem is, though, is the people who are pitching unrealistic versions of that are getting a lot of attention. Whereas like there's so many great free courses where you can learn everything and more about fulfillment by Amazon or about copywriting or all these different things that I think like so often the air is just, the oxygen is sucked up by all the grifters who promise everything. It's back to what we said about vaporware. This is one of the reasons that like educational products can so often be co-opted by grifters is vaporware is very hard to distinguish because like the feedback loop on education is not clear. It's not obvious immediately. So I can sell you a book and I can say, this is going to change your life if you apply it. If you don't, if your life doesn't change, I just say, well, you didn't apply it, right? Like it's, there's this weird relationship. It's not clear the value. It's not so easy to like quantify education. So that gets co-opted by people who make all the promises. They get a ton of attention, a ton of money. And then those people are often left confused and like kind of disillusioned, maybe thinking, well, this didn't work in 1 year, so it's not going to work at all. And so I think, they're,
and by the way, I think most forms of education, even formal education, I would say are like additional locks in a chain, right? They're like steps on a ladder. They help you build up to the next level. Even something as grade school, high school, right? My son wants to help me with YouTube stuff and everything we're doing, but he's 8 though. Like we're just trying to get him to just do basic arithmetic and think cognitively. So the stuff he's doing are what we would assume are low leverage skills, yet they all stack on top of each other. And it's the same way when you get into fill in a blank, any e-commerce, any program, any system is taking things, combining them, and they're stacking them. And so earlier he did make a distinction. Hustlers University is not an MLM, it's an affiliate. Those are different. An affiliate is I have links to my gear in my studio in the description of this video. That is an affiliate. If you guys go buy the camera I use, I get an affiliate commission of like a couple percent. That is different than I have something that you sign up underneath, that then someone else signs up underneath, that then someone else signs up underneath. That is a multi-level marketing system. They're different. So it's important to note that. And Coffezilla, to his credit, also was very clear because now that can get conflated and affiliates are everywhere. The biggest companies do affiliates. Amazon does affiliates. Everybody does affiliates, right? So B&H Photo does affiliate. So affiliates are way more common than multi-level because in multi-level, the opportunity is the product. You guys are following along? The opportunity to make money is the product. Whereas in an affiliate, there's an actual product that is being sold that if you enjoy the product, you can recommend the product and then make money if someone buys the product based on your recommendation. That's an important distinction to Andrew Tate's credit. So multi-level marketing and affiliate marketing are two totally different things. And at the time, I also thought that was a bit unfair that people kept saying that because there weren't people signing up underneath people, where that is the system. And I've done both. I've done multi-level marketing where I used to sell prepaid legal when I was 18. And that was definitely a system where people are signing up underneath you. And the product was okay, but what people were really pushed to sell was the opportunity to sell the product. The opportunity to sell the opportunity to sell the opportunity, right? And that's a flawed system because there's only so many levels. I think they did a study and they said like if all of humanity participated, you would cap out at like 40 levels or something like that. Something crazy like that. I'd have to go back and look it up. Meaning there's a cap on multi-level marketing. Hey, you may not know I make music, but I have a brand new song that just came out. Here's a quick preview.
I went from being a porn addict to sharing the gospel with a porn actress who was criticized for being low status by the same OnlyFans who treat us so lavish. I'm confused.
I swear y'all thought he did doing podcasts, hot takes. He still can rap.
Now, this is my first song that I've released in over a year, so I need you to go to Spotify, Apple Music, or wherever you consume music and stream Too Soon right now. Add it to your favorite playlist, share it with a friend. So hit the link in the description or go to RuslanToTheMoon.com to stream Too Soon now. I'll see you over there.
Ooh, ooh, oh, they got me with the dramatics. You knew.
So anyway.
There are problems there. There's certainly a need for like male role models. There's certainly a need for somebody kind of to speak to a younger generation. I just think that person shouldn't be maybe Andrew Tate, like personally.
Yeah, so you have to criticize those particular individuals. I
think that like the Bugatti aspiration is so stupid. It's so.
Well, let me steal man.
But where they're driving this though is that there is a need for role models. There is a need for inspirational figures to speak to the next generation. These are real needs. And by the way, the things that are going to speak to young men, even though they sound super goofy, are the Bugattis and the Lambos. I know it's cringe, but that is what it is. That's why Ty Lopez was so successful. I'm here in my garage. I'm here with my garage with my new Lambo and my books, knowledge. You guys remember Ty Lopez, right? Like, because men like different things, and what appeals to a man is going to be different than what appeals to a woman in that regard, right? So yeah, a Bugatti it's actually repurposed one of the most viral campaigns that ever ran on social media with Ty Lopez's 67 Steps to Success, which was really just a book club. Crazy enough, right? And so Andrew Tate took that same thing, except he flipped it, and then it became a whole thing. Well, what color is your Bugatti, right? So anyway.
So I'm a person who doesn't care about money, don't like money. The women maybe appreciate the sort of the beauty of the other sex, but like yeah, cars in particular is like, really, is this really the manifestation of all the highest accomplishments a human being can have in life? Yes, I can criticize all that, but to steel man that case is a young person, a dreamer, has ambition, and I often find that education throughout my whole life, there's been people who love me, teachers who saw ambition in me and tried to reason with me that my ambition is not justified. Yes. Looking at the data. Look, kid, you're not that special.
Yeah.
Look at the data.
Right.
You're not, and they want it. They want you to like not dream, essentially. And then again, I look at the data, which is all the people. I just talked to Haja Gracie. This Haja Gracie is
what a profound point. How many of you guys, myself included, were told, "Hey, you got to be realistic, kid. You gotta have a backup plan. Hey, you gotta play it safe." Right? We were repeatedly indoctrinated with this in school. And so we were taught if you think about it, just think about it, two polar opposite extremes, which I think messed a lot of us up. One extreme was, you can do anything you put your mind to. False. And the other extreme is, well, you got to be careful. Statistically speaking, there's only a small percentage of people that ever do anything with music. That's what I was told. I want to be a musician. I want to do music full time. Statistically speaking, there's only a very small amount of people that'll ever make it in music. Well, why can't I be a part of that small percentage? Why can't I study the outliers that made it and reverse engineer what's happening? And now what's happening? Well, there's a lot of influencers on TikTok and YouTube. There's only going to be a small percentage of people that make it. I'm not saying aspire to be an influencer. I'm just saying that is the new version of rapper, athlete that kids are aspiring for. And so when young people are told to be realistic, it diminishes their ability to dream and have vision for what their life could be, even if statistically speaking, you're probably going to fall short, or it's probably going to take way longer. You're not going to get rich overnight. You're not going to become a fill in the blank overnight. It's going to take a lot more work. But it is very demeaning, I think, to tell people these sorts of things that Lex is pointing out here.
It's a person widely acknowledged as probably the greatest of all time, dominated everybody. But for the longest time, he sucked. And he was surrounded by people that kind of, don't necessarily believe in him. So he had to believe in himself. So you have to. It's nice to have somebody. As older I get and I've seen it, it's so powerful to have somebody who comes to you, an older person, whether it's real or not, that says you got this kid.
Believes in you.
I
Sure.
believe in you.
Sure.
You know?
When someone older than you sees something in you and tells you you're able to do it. If you do A, B, and C, X, Y, and Z, course correct in these areas, you're able to do it. That has a radical impact.
It does. I mean, I think dreaming is actually really important. I'm more protective over people co-opt those dreams for money.
Yes.
And like,
absolutely.
I do think it matters so much that we encourage people to take risks. It's one of the great things about America is it lionizes like sort of people who've taken risks and won. But I think it's just a weird, vapid thing when like the reason you do all of it is for this thing you can get out at the end of the day. When we all know, and you've just heard a million interviews, like nobody ever gets the Bugatti and goes, this now completely fulfills me. Everyone knows the beauty and the like fulfillment actually comes from becoming obsessed about what you're doing for its own sake, sort of the journey, the beauty of that thing. And I think money's just this thing we have to deal with to be able to do cool stuff. Like I acknowledge that, you need money to build the $10 million studio. You got to get the cameras, you got to get the lights. And I'm very blessed to be able to have gotten that. But past a certain point, like I think that is really the function of money is to just do cool stuff. But ultimately, if you can't fall in love with the process and like the craft itself, you will be left very unhappy at the end of it. And so to start people off on that journey by pointing to the shiny object and going like, that's what you should care about, seems to me so backwards. We should learn from the actual people who have done it and said, that shiny thing did nothing for me.
I think Coffezilla is 100% right. I just think he's not quite aware of how young men's brains work. The average young man's brain, right? Maybe not someone like me. I've been in church for 20 years, actively serving. Yes, the Bugatti, the Lambo is like whatever. But the average person walking around here, shiny objects, cool things, women are inspirational, right? So it's an interesting point he's making.
Learn to love the journey, and like that's the thing we pitch people, as unsexy as that might be.
Yeah, absolutely. That's well said. And the same applies to like the Red Pill community that talks about dating and so on. That there is it's not just about the number of hot women you go to bed with. It's also about intimacy and love and all those kinds of things. And so like there's components to a fulfilling life that is important to sort of educate young people about.
Totally.
But at the same time, feeding the dream and saying take big risks.
Sure.
And you, the little you that has no evidence of ever being great, can be great, because there's evidence time and time again of people that come from very humble beginnings and doing incredible things that change the world.
Yeah, and there's just a tremendous like funny thing where you can't become great without having a willful denial of the statistics. Like in some ways you have to take the chance.
You cannot become great unless you have a willful denial of the statistics. Wow, that's a gem. I think what's most fascinating to me about this conversation is bringing it over to this space that I'm on right here and advocating and wanting to get more Christians and pastors on this space with YouTube, and us needing to have the mentality that, yes, it's very statistically low probability. I think the top 1% of channels on YouTube have more than 10,000 subscribers. The top 1%. Yet, we need more people to get on the platform. Not for the sake of being rich and famous, right? But for the sake of utilizing these things, even when the statistics say the otherwise. Hey, this clip is from our daily after party stream. If you enjoyed it, consider signing up for our Patreon community for only $5 a month, where you get access to the replays of our daily after party streams, as well as the uncut extended versions of our podcast, Discord access that's private, and a discount code for our merch store, only $5 a month. And ultimately, it's the best way to help us contextualize the gospel of Jesus using media, podcasting, and of course, YouTube. The link for that is in the description or in the pinned comment. The perks are amazing. You should get on there. It's only $5 a month. I'll see you over there, all right? Peace.